The Sunday family dinners at the Martinez household were always a battlefield of passive-aggressive comments and thinly veiled disappointments. But this particular Sunday in 2019 would prove to be the breaking point. "So, Alexandra," my father began, using my full name, always a bad sign, "still playing with your little online shop?" I took a measured sip of water, mentally counting to 10. At 26, I was running a rapidly growing e-commerce empire, but to my family, I was still the disappointment who'd quit her real job at their accounting firm 2 years ago. DigitalDream isn't a little shop anymore, Dad. We're projected to hit 8 figures this quarter. Monopoly money, my brother Miguel scoffed, adjusting his lawyer's tie, his armor of choice. Real businesses have offices, employees you can see, clients you can meet. Mom nodded sagely while serving more rice. "Mihija, the internet is so unreliable. Remember cousin Roberto? His website thing failed after 3 months." "Cousin Roberto tried to sell digital pet rocks," I countered. "I'm revolutionizing how small businesses handle their online presence." Such big words," Mom sighed. "In my day business was simple. Your father built his firm client by client, handshake by handshake." Dad puffed up with pride. 30 years of real accounting work. Not this. What do you call it? E-commerce automation and digital marketplace integration, I supplied, though I knew it would fall on deaf ears. "Sounds made up," Miguel smirked. "Like those numbers you keep talking about." I pulled out my phone, pulling up our latest quarterly report. "These numbers are very real. We've helped over 10,000 small businesses establish their online presence. Our automation software has increased their average revenue by 312%. Numbers on a screen," Dad dismissed with a wave of his hand. "Show me the office, the employees, the real business." "My 200 employees work remotely," I explained for the 100th time. "We have team members across 12 countries, operating 24/7. Our overhead is minimal, our efficiency is maximal." "Remote work," Mom clicked her tongue. "How do you know they're really working?" "In my day dash." "In your day," I interrupted, finally reaching my limit, "you didn't have the technology to run a global business from a laptop. In your day you couldn't process millions in transactions with a click. In your day dash." "In my day," Dad's voice thundered, "children respected their parents' wisdom. We've built something real, something you can touch." "What have you built?" "Dreams. Fantasy." I stood up, my chair scraping against the tile floor. "I've built the future, Dad. Whether you choose to see it or not." "The future?" Miguel laughed. "The future is solid, like my law practice, like Dad's firm. Not some internet bubble that could pop tomorrow." I gathered my things, a calm settling over me, the kind of calm that comes with absolute certainty. "You know what? You're right. The future isn't solid. It's fluid, adaptable, ever-changing. And while you're all clinging to your handshakes and corner offices, the world is moving on." "Where are you going?" Mom called as I headed for the door. "You haven't had dessert." "I have a video call with our Tokyo office," I replied. "Real business, remember?" "Tokyo office," I heard Miguel mock as I left. Probably her bedroom with a fake background. What they didn't know was that DigitalDream had just closed a deal that would shake their antiquated worldview to its core. While they'd been mocking my internet bubble, I'd been negotiating with one of the largest tech investment firms in Silicon Valley. The valuation had come in yesterday, $3.2 billion. The paperwork would be finalized tomorrow, and Forbes had already scheduled the interview. As I drove home to my penthouse apartment, bought with my Monopoly money, I thought about how success is sometimes the sweetest when served cold, with a side of vindication. The next morning, while my family was probably gathering for their traditional post-church brunch, I was finalizing the details of the investment deal via video conference. My home office, a state-of-the-art setup that would put most corporate boardrooms to shame, hummed with the energy of multiple screens displaying real-time data from our global operations. "The paperwork is complete, Ms. Martinez," my lawyer confirmed, her image crystal clear on the main screen. "Tech Ventures investment values DigitalDream at $3.2 billion, making you the majority shareholder with 67% ownership." I glanced at another screen showing our operations dashboard. 10,000 businesses across the globe, all running smoothly on our platform. Every pixel, every line of code, every automated process, all built from scratch while my family thought I was playing shop. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah, my PR director. Forbes piece is going live in 30 minutes. Ready to break the internet. I smiled, remembering Miguel's snide comments about fake backgrounds. If he only knew that my bedroom office had been featured in Architecture Digest last month as one of the most sophisticated home workspaces in the country. Ready, I texted back. The Forbes article had been weeks in the making. The photographer had captured me in this very office, surrounded by the technology that my family dismissed as unreliable. The interview had delved deep into DigitalDream's journey, from my initial concept sketched out on a napkin during my lunch breaks at Dad's firm, to the revolutionary platform it had become. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Lisa, my best friend since college and now my chief technology officer. Your brother just posted about his new corner office at the law firm, she texted. Should we tell him your home office is bigger? I laughed, remembering Miguel's endless bragging about his real career achievements. His corner office probably cost as much as one of our server clusters, the ones processing millions in transactions every hour. Let Forbes do the talking, I replied. At exactly 10 a.m. my phone exploded with notifications. The article was live, and with it, the announcement that would change everything. Alexandra Martinez, the youngest self-made billionaire revolutionizing e-commerce. The subtitle was even better. How a former accountant built a $3.2 billion digital empire from her little online shop. Within minutes, my social media feeds were flooded. Business associates, college friends, even high school classmates were sharing the article. But the notifications I was waiting for from my family remained conspicuously absent. Alexandra. My father's name appeared on my phone screen, his contact photo, still from last year's Christmas dinner, staring at me accusingly. I let it ring twice, 3 times, composing myself. This was the moment I'd both dreaded and anticipated. The moment when monopoly money became very, very real. Hello, Dad, I answered, my voice steady. Have you read any interesting articles this morning? The silence on the other end was deafening. This is a mistake, Dad finally sputtered. These numbers can't be right. In the background, I could hear Mom's rapid-fire Spanish exclamations mixing with Miguel's increasingly agitated voice. Apparently, the Forbes article was causing quite a stir at their post-church brunch. The numbers are very right, Dad, I replied, pulling up our company dashboard. In fact, they're already outdated. We've processed another $12 million in transactions just this morning. But how? His voice had lost its usual authoritative tone, replaced by something I'd never heard before, uncertainty. Remember when you said I was wasting time, playing with computers instead of learning real accounting? I was building an AI-driven automation system that now handles more transactions in an hour than your firm does in a year. The sound of chairs scraping and dishes clattering came through the phone. They were probably gathering around it on speaker now, a family united in their shock. Mama, did you see the photo? I heard my sister Isabella whisper. Her office looks like something from a sci-fi movie. That can't be her real office, Miguel interjected. It must be Dash. A fake background? I cut in. Would you like a virtual tour, brother? I can have my assistant send over the Architecture Digest feature. They did a lovely spread last month. More silence, broken only by what sounded like Mom dropping something. $3.2 billion, Dad finally said, as if testing how the words felt in his mouth. That's more than the combined value of your firm, Miguel's law practice, and every real business in our extended family? I supplied. Yes, it is. But you work from home. Mom burst out. You don't even dress up for work. I glanced down at my designer loungewear, probably worth more than Dad's entire wardrobe. The beauty of digital transformation, Mom. Success doesn't wear a tie anymore. My other phone, the secure line for major business matters, began ringing. The caller ID showed it was the CEO of Tech Venture. I have to go, I told my family. Unlike imaginary businesses, mine requires actual attention. But since you're all together, I have a proposition for you. Proposition. Dad's businessman instinct seemed to kick in, his voice regaining some of its strength. Yes. Dinner at my place tonight. I'll have my chef prepare something special. We can discuss how to bring Martinez accounting into the 21st century before it becomes completely obsolete. Your chef. Mom sounded faint. His mom. It turns out Monopoly money can hire excellent staff. I paused, then added, and Miguel, do wear one of your court suits. The security cameras in my building record in very high definition. Wouldn't want you to look underdressed in the lobby footage. I ended the call before they could respond, switching to my secure line. Alexandra Martinez speaking. Alexandra. The response to the Forbes piece is incredible. Tech venture CEO boomed. Your company's valuation might hit $4 billion by market close tomorrow. I smiled, watching my dashboard as another $1 million in transactions processed smoothly through our system. That's nice, I replied, but I'm more interested in tonight's numbers. Oh. Yes. I'm about to show my family exactly what a little online shop looks like when it grows up. At precisely 7 p.m., my family arrived at my penthouse building. Through the security feed on my tablet, I watched them fidget in the private elevator. Dad tugging at his tie, Mom clutching her purse, Miguel trying and failing to look unimpressed. The elevator opened directly into my apartment's reception area, where my house manager, James, waited to greet them. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Martinez, Mr. Miguel, he said smoothly. Ms. Alexandra is in the main living room. Please follow me. Their faces as they walked through my home were a study in conflicting emotions. Mom's eyes widened at the smart glass windows that spanned from floor to ceiling, automatically tinting as the sun set over the city. Dad tried to maintain his stoic expression, but I saw him swallow hard when we passed the wall displaying my various business awards and magazine covers. Miguel predictably couldn't keep quiet. This must have cost a fortune, he muttered, running his hand along the custom-built smart furniture. Less than you'd think, I replied, finally making my entrance. When you own the technology that powers smart homes worldwide, manufacturers tend to offer generous discounts. I'd deliberately dressed down for the evening, designer casual, where that probably cost more than Miguel's monthly salary, but looked deceptively simple. Another lesson I'd learned in my journey. True power doesn't need to announce itself. Dinner is ready in the dining room, I announced, leading them through to where my chef had prepared a feast that would put our traditional Sunday dinners to shame. You have staff? Mom asked weakly, watching as James pulled out chairs for everyone. Of course, I replied casually. Running a global company leaves little time for household management. James oversees the apartment, Chef Maria handles the meals, and there's a full maintenance and security team on call. Very corporate, Dad managed, still trying to find his footing in this new reality. Actually, it's quite efficient, I said, nodding to Chef Maria as she began serving the first course. Just like DigitalDream's business model. Speaking of which, I tapped the dining room's smart surface, and suddenly the wall transformed into a massive display showing our company's real-time operations. This is DigitalDream right now, I explained, watching their faces as numbers and graphs danced across the wall. Each dot represents a business using our platform. The lines show transactions happening in real time. The numbers at the bottom? That's revenue being generated this very second. Dios mío, Mom whispered, watching the numbers climb. Remember when you said internet businesses weren't real, Dad? I continued, taking a sip of wine. In the time we've been sitting here, DigitalDream has processed more revenue than Martinez accounting handles in a month. Dad's face flushed, but before he could respond, his phone buzzed. So did Miguel's. Mom's. That would be the press requests, I said calmly. Forbes wasn't the only publication interested in the story of a Latino family's daughter becoming the youngest self-made billionaire. Every business journal and Hispanic media outlet wants an interview. Press requests. Miguel's lawyer instincts kicked in. They want to talk to us? Of course. The narrative is irresistible. Immigrant parent's daughter disrupts traditional business models, builds billion-dollar empire from laptop. They're particularly interested in how my traditional family background influenced my success. I let that sink in as they stared at their phones, watching the notifications pile up. So, I continued, we have two options. Option 1. We can tell the truth about how you dismissed my business as playing shop, mocked my work model, and generally treated my success as a fantasy until Forbes forced you to acknowledge it. The silence in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Or option 2? Dad asked quietly. Option 2 is more interesting, I smiled, tapping the smart surface again. A new display appeared, architectural plans for a building downtown. This is the future headquarters of DigitalDream's Innovation Center. 10 floors of cutting-edge technology, research facilities, and yes, even some traditional offices. I watched understanding dawn on their faces. The top floor, I continued, has space for a prestigious accounting firm looking to modernize its operations. And perhaps a law office specializing in digital business law. Assuming, of course, their principals are willing to learn new ways of doing business. You're offering us offices? Miguel leaned forward, his lawyer's mind already calculating. I'm offering you evolution, I corrected. Martinez Accounting could become the leading digital finance consultant in the Hispanic business community. And you, dear brother, could build a reputation as a pioneer in e-commerce law. But only if you're ready to admit that the future doesn't look like the past. Mom dabbed at her eyes with her napkin. Mihija, we were so wrong. Yes, you were, I agreed softly. But being wrong isn't fatal. Refusing to learn from it is. Dad sat silently for a long moment, looking at the display of my company's global reach. Finally, he loosened his tie and said something I'd never heard from him before. Teach me. 1 year later, Martinez Digital Accounting was handling financial automation for thousands of Hispanic-owned businesses. Miguel's e-commerce law practice had a 6-month waiting list. And every Sunday our family dinner was held in my penthouse, where the conversation finally focused on building the future instead of clinging to the past.